Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Hi, sir, to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television. It's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our major star is right away. The Senior Divisional Officer for the Puri Division, Silak Mvongo, bans the circulation of commercial motorbike riders or motorbikes in some parts of Duala as from this weekend. In a communique signed yesterday, June 5, the SGO says no bikes should be seen in parts of Deido, Bipanda, and also around the airport, and defaulters will be severely sanctioned. This ban coincides with the return of Professor Maurice Kamto back to Cameroon after the much talked about mega rally in Paris, France. Is the ban a mere coincidence with Professor Kamto's return? We spoke with some civil society actors in Duala, and we will be telling you more in this news edition. Plus, in religion, we talk Islam. Muslims today are celebrating the feast of the sacrifice, or Tabaski. Prayers were said, rams slaughtered and shared with neighbors. More on the celebration of the Tabaski in Cameroon, also in this news edition. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin this edition of the news in religion. We are talking Islam today. Muslims in Cameroon join others across the world and Africa to celebrate the feast of the sacrifice, or the feast of the Tabaski. In Duala, especially here at the Kambeto prayer ground, just like in other mosques across the country, prayers were said, rams were also slaughtered and shared with neighbors. Our reporter for me, Armstrong Sander, made a stop over at some prayer grounds here in Duala, and he now tells us more.
From the Camp Beto prayer ground in the Duala 2 subdivision through Kamtel Bepanda in the Duala 5 municipality to Mbanga in the Duala 3 subdivision, the key message to Muslim faithfuls was peace, respect for one another, responsible civic engagement, and love. At the Kamtelbe Panda Esplanade, the central imam of the Al-Alka Mosque of the Makepe Misoke neighborhood called on Muslim brothers and sisters to demonstrate peaceful civic engagement, especially in the electoral year 2025. A message well received by Muslim leaders and faithfuls present.
The peace today, especially this year, will be more than peace, because we have an election in October, and it is a very, very delicate question. Everybody should be responsible. Any level of society or you are, you should not leave a bad Cameroon to the young generation.
The same message echoed by the presiding Imam Mubarak at the Camp Beto prayer ground. He warned Muslims against politicizing the religion and mosque.
We say to imams and believers, they cannot make the mosque become the party's room where people can sit and bring some kind of immorality against others. Muslim leaders have to be very neutral on these things and have to call for peace and equality between each other.
At the Mbanga prayer ground, Imam Ali Mahmoudou called on Muslims to live in fraternity with one another for a better community and nation Cameroon.
C'est ce que nous demandons.
He expressed gratitude to local administrative authorities for maintaining peace and tranquility in Bangapungo.
Dans notre pays et dans notre localité.
At the Newtown Aeroport 2 in the Duala 2 subdivision, Muslims were challenged to be slow to anger and quick to forgive.
Il a dit, je vais le répéter, nous sommes dans une année électorale.
His Majesty Abdurrahmanu, chief of the Newtown Aeroport 2, says they were called upon to be mindful of what they say in order not to be vectors of hate and division in the electoral year 2025.
Dans la paix et qu'on continue toujours dans cette même.
In the southwest region of the country, the message was also on civic responsibility. Muslims in Mutengene were encouraged to get themselves registered on the electoral list and to commit themselves to praying for peace in Cameroon before, during, and after the electoral year that would become October. The message was sent during a prayer session which took place at the Mutengene prayer ground. Let's now have more with our Southwest Regional correspondent, Rex Afron.
The prayers to mark the celebration of the Feast of the Tabaski here in Mutengene anchored on two main points: peace during this electoral season and social cohesion amongst Cameroonians. This is the thrust of the message of the chief of the Muslim community in Mutengene, Alhaji Suleimanu Hamassani.
Today, every Muslim who have the means to sacrifice, he will do the sacrifice for today, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the second point, I want to talk to my community. You know, our election is fast approaching, that everybody should go and register. Because if you are not registered, you cannot say your civil right. You have to say your civil right. And only doing that, you have to register. And then we have also prayed for our nation, Cameroon, and the Northwest and Southwest for the peace to return back as usual. And then we also pray for the head of state.
The Imam of the Central Mosque in Mutengene, Shitu Buba, has also re-echoed the same message.
Working message for this blessed day today for the Muslim nation is about peace and unity, stability in our nation. I would pray for all Muslim faithful members in Mutengene to exercise unity and love.
By respecting God's prescription, we have the reward here on earth, and when we be resurrected, we will have the reward from the Almighty Allah.
The Assistant Divisional Officer for Chico, Isaac Cyril, who visited the Muslim community in Mutengene, called on them to look out for one another.
My appeal is that this type of living together continue in Chico to make Pico still and remain the subdivision where everybody, even in Southwest, would like to be.
The Feast of the Tabaski is a reminder to Muslims of the selfless sacrifice and obedience of Ibrahim to God.
Still on the Feast of the Tabaski, we moved down to Kumba from Boya, where the Muslim community was as well urged to register on electoral lists. The call was made by the mayor of the Kumba municipality, Gregory Miwanu, at the Kumba Central Mosque, and during the prayer, the presiding imam, Nasiru Ibrahim, prayed for peace and reminded the Muslim faithful of the importance of sharing with one another. Lucille Yengu is here, reports.
In Kumba, Meme Division, Muslims converged at the Central Mosque with prayers centered on peace, love and unity on the occasion of the Feast of the Ram.
Message of peace, not the message of love, not the message of sacrifice, message of sharing.
The presiding Imam, Nasiru Ibrahim, preached on sacrifice and sharing with those in need, taking the example of Ibrahim, who was ready to sacrifice his son Ishmael.
Each and every year, that's the month of Zulhijjah. The month of Zulhijjah is just like, I can say, December. So you have to sacrifice. And this sacrifice is the tradition of the Prophet. So for that reason, I'm calling on all our brothers and sisters, whosoever have the means to sacrifice, should sacrifice, because it has a lot of benefit.
The Feast of Tabaski was attended by local authorities who came to commune with the Muslim community as a sign of togetherness. The senior divisional officer for the Meme Division, Tundong Shambalang, encouraged everyone to pursue peace and enhance development within the community.
Because the Imam preached for peace, he advised us to share with those who are not having enough. We celebrate with a lot of joy, but knowing that we are family members, we are mature people.
Meanwhile, the city mayor, Gregory Miwanu, urged the Muslim faithful to mobilize and register on the electoral list ahead of the presidential election.
We don't forget also say we get big work for before we really come. We now elections. Those who never register themselves for election, make them go register themselves for election.
In honor of Ibrahim's sacrifice, a ram was slaughtered as an act of obedience to Allah. After the prayers at the Kumba Central Mosque, celebrations continue at home with sharing among both Muslims and non-Muslims.
Baraka to all of our Muslim televiewers out there. And now we move over to one of our lead stories. The Senior Divisional Officer for the Buri Division, Silak Vogo, has banned the circulation of commercial motorbikes in some parts of Duala as from this weekend. In a communique signed that was yesterday, June 5, the SDO says no bikes should be seen in parts of the Edo, Bepanda, and also around the airport, and defaulters will be severely sanctioned. This ban coincides with the return of Professor Maurice Kamto to Cameroon after the much talked about mega rally in Paris, France. Now, is the ban a mere coincidence with the arrival of Professor Maurice Kamto in Cameroon? Our reporter Innocent Azez spoke with some civil society actors here in Duala, and he tells us more in the report which comes up next.
It is an unusual decision to ban circulation of commercial motorbikes in most parts of the city of Duala for 2 consecutive days, Saturday June 7 and Sunday June 8, by the Senior Divisional Officer for the Wuri Division of the Littoral Region, with reason being disruption of public peace and order. The different stretches prohibited from commercial motorbike riders include École Publique d'Aido to Kamter Bepanda, Pongbona Bassem, Axelu Bepanda to Entre Bepanda, Pongbona Bassem to École Publique d'Aido, MRS Omnisport to Kamter Bepanda, MRS Omnisport to Deuxième Entrée Start after Tontana Hotel, New Daido Market to Kiferu Grand Moulin, Marché des Fleurs to Niki Aéroport, and Grand Mall to Bokom Filling Station and Grand Mall to Aéroport. Violators will have their bikes seized by security forces ordered to enforce the measure. According to civil society actors, the ban is systematic and politically geared to frustrate Maurice Kamto's arrival to Douala, Cameroon from Paris, France, and a grand meeting scheduled for Sunday, June 8 at the CRM regional headquarters at Grand Moulin. Philippe Nanga, coordinator of the Mont Avenue Civil Society Organization, says, if the ban is to stop people from welcoming Professor Maurice Kamto, accompanying him from the airport to the CRM regional headquarters at Grand Moulin, then the SDO for Wuri is deviating from the path of his predecessor, who allowed denizens welcome Kamto massively amid security disposition taken to ensure everything went well. He advises the SDO to review his decision if actually Kamto is the problem.
Je crois que le préfet devrait retirer sa note tout simplement et se référer à ce qui s'est passé la dernière fois.
To the civil society leader, the ban penalizes thousands of commercial motorbike riders whose livelihood depends on the activity, and the denizens who mostly use bikes to displace themselves within the city.
Ça ne va pas aider. Je connais un peu l'attitude des mototaximens. Quand on veut les emmerder, eh bien on crée vraiment un souci.
Asked if Kamto's rivals shiver, Philippe Nanga says,
on n'a pas besoin, n'est-ce pas, de fébrilité. C'est ça effectivement qu'il y a de la fébrilité.
Professor Maurice Kamto is expected to arrive Cameroon via the Douala International Airport on Sunday, June 8, where he will drive to the CRM regional headquarters in Daido for a meeting with his militants, allies, supporters and sympathizers. Such meetings usually attract a large crowd, mostly made up of commercial motorbike riders.
Now let's talk about the attack which happened at the Mokolo market in the nation's political capital, Yaounde, by some hoodlums. 14 youths were arrested by gendarmes after it was alleged that they were part of the group which harassed citizens at the Mokolo market that was later yesterday. Some inhabitants around the crime scene in Mokolo were also injured, while some lost some of their items. A manhunt has been launched for the rest of the people who are still on the run. Sumaji Kangiro now tells us what really happened at Mokolo that was yesterday.
Activities at the Mokolo main market in Yaounde have gone back to normal, even though fear still occupies a greater portion of the business operators in the zone. This is after an attack in the Mokolo market late Thursday evening by a group of boys, all armed with machetes and knives. In the course of a heavy downpour at about 4 p.m., a group of boys armed with machetes started harassing people, stabbed some women, and forcefully collected people's belongings. This caused total confusion. The boys, who brought fear upon people in the main market in Mokolo, were able to injure and seized some passerbys' items, but the rapid intervention of security forces calmed down the situation. I thank the special forces who came and followed the hoodlums when they had already moved towards the firefighters' brigade office. Traders at the Mokolo market say they lack security, which makes them victims if any attack happens. With security, they fear when you see machetes and knives in front of you. It's not any type of machetes, but one well sharpened at both ends. We ran at different directions in disorder. Immediately after the incident, security forces were able to capture 14 individuals suspected to be at the origin of the attack, with one coming from Duala, seized 2 machetes and knives. All arrested have been kept behind bars as gendarmes have launched a manhunt to catch the remaining gang members.
Sad indeed. Now let's talk something else. Nkongsamba 1 is the cleanest municipality in the Littoral region, and the results were made public recently in Duala, and the Nkongsamba 1 municipality is determined to win the national prize, that is at the national level. During the next competition, the announcement was made recently in Duala by the Littoral governor while handing over prizes to the winners. Cleanest town competition is an initiative put in place by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Mala Glory reports.
The Nkongsamba 1 municipality has emerged first in the cleanest town competition in the Littoral region. Followed by Duala 3 council area, and with the third on the list is the Conjug subdivision in the Cam division. The result was announced in Duala by the governor of the Littoral region, Samuel Jedene Ivahadibua, during an event, an initiative put in place by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. The selection is based on a number of standards. The criteria stated by the Littoral Regional Delegate of Housing and Urban Development, Amadou NGANGQUEH, revolved around urban development.
Le budget alloué pour l'hygiène et la salubrité, et il y avait aussi ceux qui
clean markets, schools, motor parks. It also looked at the budget set aside for hygiene and sanitation. The council also set aside a day for general cleaning. Pruning of trees and cleaning of gutters is essentially part of the competition.
des grains, etc.
According to the secretary of the Nkongsamba Municipal Council,
la commune de Nkongsamba premier a respecté, observé les recommandations qui ont été données par le ministère, raison pour laquelle nous avons occupé le rang.
The victory of the Nkongsamba municipality, according to the regional delegate, is based on experience, given that in 2023 the Nkongsamba Council occupied the 3rd position nationally. Those are determined to secure the 1st position at the national level.
The representatives of the Cameroon Bar President in the Littoral region have said they are working to enhance the training of lawyers in a bid to boost the fight against ills such as corruption and other malpractices in the society. Barrister Gabriel Concho and Serge Martin Zangue presented the report card of their mandates to their peers here in Duala. Babila Jonathan has the details.
Their major focus has been on the training of lawyers as the solution to the many problems plaguing the legal profession and the society at large. Bar Council President's representative for the Littoral region, Barrister Gabriel Conchu, and his deputy, Barrister Serge Martin Zangue. underscored the capital importance of training as they presented the balance sheet of their mandate to their peers Thursday.
2 years ago, we were elected as bar council member, and now that in some days we are going to go to re-election, it is a sort of accountability to come to discuss with our colleagues, to do a report to them and explain them that we have received a mandate from you, this is what we have done. Maybe we did not reach all the goals, but this is where we have reached, to explain and so as to receive a feedback from them. The core is the training, because lawyers which are trained, so many issues are going to be resolved. The issue of corruption, the issue of those bad behavior that we see all around, and the issue of this globalization we are trying to tackle.
After listening to his representatives, Bar Council President Barrister Mba Eric Mba said what his peers have done should be done by all elected officials and other holders of public office.
This is actually responsibility and accountability. That you recognize the fact that the mandate that you have is not yours, that you were given a mandate by the people. So if you have come to the end of the mandate, you should go to them, render an account, and seek a renewal of that mandate. So I think it's not only at the level of the bar, it is what should be done at any level of the state where you act on a mandate of a given people or a given community, a given society.
Barrister Gabriel Kongchu and Serge Mutengene are expecting another mandate as representatives of the Bar Council President in the littoral region of Cameroon.
In news out of the country, Chadian President Mohamed Idriss Deby has announced that his country would suspend visa issuance to U.S. citizens in response to Donald Trump's decision to ban Chadians from traveling to the U.S. of A. And in Zambia, former Zambian President Edgar Lungu is no more. He died at the age of 68 in South Africa. Cedric Chakutio with our foreign page roundup.
In a Facebook post, Chad's president said he is directing his government to suspend visas to U.S. citizens in accordance with the principles of reciprocity. Chad's president Mohamed Idriss Deby on Thursday announced that his country will suspend the issuance of visas to U.S. citizens in response to the Trump administration decision to ban Chadians from visiting the U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday had resurrected a hallmark policy of his first term when he announced the visa ban on 12 countries, including Chad, accusing them of having deficient screening and vetting and historically refusing to take back their own citizens who overstay in the United States. The new ban targets Afghanistan, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Elsewhere in Zambia, former Zambian President Edgar Chagwa Lungu has died at the age of 68. Lungu passed away earlier in the day while receiving specialized medical treatment in South Africa. His death was confirmed by both his daughter and the family's legal representative. Lungu served as Zambia's 6th president from January 2015 until August 2021. He assumed office following the death of then-President Michael Sata and won the subsequent presidential by-election. A trained lawyer by profession, Lungu previously held key ministerial portfolios including Minister of Justice and Minister of Defense under Sata's administration. His political ascent was rapid, with this presidential candidacy endorsed by the PF in the late 2015 amid internal party disputes following Sata's passing. Lungu's time in office was marked by major infrastructure projects and a focus on economic development, although it was also marred by accusations of democratic backsliding and economic mismanagement. His loss in the 2021 election marked a significant political shift in Zambia.
And that brings us to the end of the first part of the news, viewers. Let's move on to Talking Point. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Alhaji Amadou NGANGQUEH. He is the Secretary General of the Muslim community in Mutengene in the Southwest region. Thank you, Alhaji, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Today, the Muslim community, we all know, is celebrating the Feast of the Sacrifice, or the Feast of the Tabaski. Now, in a nutshell, tell us what this feast represents to the Muslim faithful.
Yes, the Feast of the Ram
firstly, is to signify the degree of faith and confidence the Anabi Abraham had for the Almighty. When the Almighty asked him to sacrifice his beloved son, Ismail, because of the love he had for him, he did not hesitate and he accepted to do the sacrifice for Allah. And when it was the D-Day to do that, the Almighty sent Angel Gabriel with a ram, and when Anabi Abraham was about to do the sacrifice, he was called by Angel Gabriel to look by his side, and when he turned, he saw a ram, and he took that ram and sacrificed on behalf of his son Ismail, which today it is an obligation for any Muslim to respect that particular incident. It is obliged for every Muslim, and it is only for those who have the means to do so. Because if you don't have the means, you will not be forced to do that. According to Islam, when you have the means to slaughter the ram, you do it. If you don't have the means, you can slaughter a goat. If you don't have the means, you can even go as far down as, chicken. You slaughter chickens for that particular purpose. But what is important is that the day have to be honored. And this feast of the ram always come 70 days after the feast of the Ramadan. So that is why you realize that all Muslim faithfuls, 70 days after the feast of the Ramadan, they always go in for the feast of the ram. It is to show the degree of faith that existed between the Prophet Abraham, Nabi Abraham, and the Almighty God.
And now, during the feast of the Tabaski, are there some particular attitudes that Muslim faithful are supposed to adopt?
Today, you just need to look neat. You just need to dress with the best dress you have. Go to the prayer ground, do the prayers, come back to your house, and continue the feasting. After you must have done the sacrifice, if you have it. If you don't have it, even if you have but a kilo of meat, you make sure you celebrate, you feast with that kilogram of meat. It is important. Today is a day of feasting. It's a day of celebration because it was when God tested and see the degree of faith. So he said, okay, for that reason, for their honesty to me, I will not permit you to kill your beloved son. I'm replacing him with ram. And that is how the celebration goes. So today, the cleanest dress you have, in fact, your best dress on the planet, is what you are permitted to put on today to go and perform this particular prayers and for this particular exercise. After that, when you are done in your house, if you have the possibility, you can move from one faithful to another, so that people can celebrate together. If you don't have the opportunity, the ones that are coming, you celebrate with them. And what is important to also know there is that it's not only for the Muslim faithfuls, but the non-Muslim, as you can see, that we are not only receiving Muslims around, but also non-Muslims. They feast with us, we feast together, and that's how it goes.
Thank you so much, Amadou NGANGQUEH, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Like we saw there on our screens, you are the Secretary General of the Muslim community in Mutengene. And thank you again. Hope to have you some other time. Baraka, the Salah, let's say so. To all our Muslim televiewers out there, viewers, thank you so much for being with us. That was what we put together for you this evening on the news in the English language. That of the French language will come up at 8 p.m. with Julien Bedbisai. And Equinoxe comes up in about 30 minutes with Sarah Langosu. Have a blessed weekend and stay in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.